everybody, it's Allison. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It is already December, can you believe it? And today is one of the most exciting days of December, I think, for a lot of people, and that is when Tim Holtz releases his limited edition Sizzix die. And so you can see I made two very different projects today. And this is going to be a longer video than is normal for me, and you will soon see why. So first, let's look at the die. It's called Be of Good Cheer. And let's open it up and look at all the pieces. So this set makes a snowman and a Santa. And there you can see it, and there's 3 little stars as well. All right. Now, I'm going to show you one of my guilty little secrets. I don't normally do things like this in my videos, but I am a Tim Holtz hoarder. So here is just some of my stash. Now, this is a drawer to an Alpha unit. If you're familiar with Alpha, this is the widest drawer they make. So even though you can't see how big this drawer is, trust me, it's a big drawer, and it doesn't even hold all of my Tim Holtz stash. So let's look at some of the stuff I have. So here's that shimmery plaid cardstock. This is the Christmas 2024 sticker book and the Christmas Emporium layers, which I just love. Here's some of those layers. And this is the Christmas 2024 large collage strips. You can see I've purchased a lot this season. This is the Christmas 2024 backdrops, and yes, I have more than one pack because I love that paper with the houses, and I will hoard it. Here's some baubles and candy. These are some old chipboard Christmas quotes, some reindeer, and a lantern, and some pine cones, and of course some tiny likes. I do use this mini clipboard in my project, and I was going to use one of those windows, which I did not, but you'll see it in the video later on. Now look at all these sticker books. I love those stamps. Now I think these textile surfaces, these are old, you can't get them anymore, but I have used these before, and it's really cool. And here's some Halloween products. The mummy cloth I'm going to use today, as well as the broomsticks. There's some holiday bells and barrels and tiny clips, hardware heads. I mean, you name it, it's in this bin. Here's some paper dolls, all sorts of ephemera. I know I'm speeding through this now, but we'll be here all day if we looked at each individual item in here. I mean, crazy, right? All right, let's look at some of the things I have made. This is a card file vignette box, and on the outside, we glued some collage strips. And when I say we, I made this at Create, the Simon Says Stamp event 2 years ago, and I took the class. And these are the tiny little file folders. And this was one of the makes that I made, I think, the same event 2 years ago. And this one right here, I made this year, this past May. And this was really fun. This is one of those mini clipboards. And there's some transparencies and just all sorts of fun little things that we were able to use. There's a little tiny clip. And we colored that picture with, I think, distressed crayons. And I really wanted to get the back of that clipboard signed by Tim, but I didn't. But look at this. Look at what I did get signed. It was all I had with me, so he was kind enough to sign it for me. All right, let's jump in to what we're here for, the die set. Now here I've cut all the pieces to make both the Santa and the snowman. I'm really only going to show you the Santa. So there's a base piece, and then there's kind of the beard, and the bottom of the hat piece is one. And I am taping this into position temporarily. I'm going to glue the face in, and the reason I haven't glued down that white piece yet is because the cheeks are going to kind of get sandwiched in between the pink cheeks. So I'm kind of gluing in the face right now. And then I can glue in the eyes. Now for eyes, you can see that white piece of paper there. I just use a black marker to color eyes. When the eyes pop out of, if it's white or in this case peach color, I just color them black. And then I don't have to cut them again from black paper. So now I'm assembling the hat. And again, that white piece is not glued down yet because I want to attach the cheeks. So you can see I'm attaching the cheeks first. And then what I'm going to do is I like things to be flush when I assemble die cuts. So I'm going to just cut out the area on this piece to allow for those cheeks to fit in here. And then I'm going to add another white piece on top. So you're never going to know that this piece is underneath, but it's going to let everything kind of lay flush. And that's just how I like to assemble die cuts. What I love about die cut sets or die sets is that everybody's going to assemble them differently. It's your die set. Assemble it how you want, right? This is just how I tend to do this. So now I'm attaching the little ball to the hat. And now this one piece adds the shading to the beard, the side of the hat, and the mustache. And then this last piece adds the shading to the ball on the hat. And here he is, all finished. Now I'm going to show you the snowman, although I'm not going to walk through the assembly of him. He's pretty easy. Here's the cute little scarf and the hat. And I will assemble all of that together when I actually make a project with him, which I have not yet. But here is the card that I made with the Santa. And you'll see that I made 2 more Santas, one with a green hat and one with a pink hat. And I just did a slimline card. These stamped sentiments are from the Bold Tidings mini set. I think that's what it's called. It's from Stampers Anonymous. And you can see the little stars. That's also from this little die set. And I just added it to a card base that I covered with strips of colored cardstock to match the Santa hats. And I think it's really cute. Now, we're going to jump into a completely different project, something that I don't do other than when I'm at Create. I really wanted to dive into this stash and really just play. So here I had started to pull some elements out, and you can see what I'm doing with the snowman. I actually built a snowman using some of this ephemera. So first off, you'll see the window that I didn't end up using. I mentioned that earlier. But let's talk about the snowman. So this is the Christmas Emporium layers, and this is where I got these little pieces to make the bottom part of the snowman. Now, I really wanted the color tone of my snowman head to match this ephemera, so I searched through all of the paper I had and found this from, I think this is from the backdrops. And so I just cut a piece of paper from this to make the head, and I think, it just kind of ties in. And then I used some distress ink to just add some shading to that shadow piece. And here I'm just showing you all these other pieces of paper that I pulled in to make like the little part of the hat. And I think I used some of it for the cheeks. I just wanted those kind of toned down colors. And here's a piece that I'm going to use for the backdrop to what will eventually be a shaker element. Now you'll see on the left is the mini clipboard. And here's a bunch of little ephemera that I'm going to use. And this is from the Snippets ephemera pack. And that little star is from this mini Flair set. Now, a lot of the stash is older. And by the way, here's the broom. I'm going to show you how I made this broom. So this is from the broomsticks. And I just chopped it off to make it small enough for this snowman. And these pieces are from the Christmas Emporium layers again. And again, I'm not going to use the window here. And here's some paper dolls that I'm also not going to use. I was just pulling everything and anything out This is actually a clean desktop. I had everything out on my desk at one point. So here's the mini clipboard. You just unscrew the actual clip, and then you have a nice base to start playing with. Now, as far as the clip is concerned, I am going to make this look aged, or at least that was my idea. This is white distress paint and a very old, I don't even know what you want to call this sponge. I'm sure it came in some kid's paintbrush bag from Michael's or something like that 10 years ago. So this was headed for the garbage anyway, so I decided why not just use it. And these are the little pine cones that I'm just dabbing with some white paint. And while I was blabbering on, you can see the clip is now white. And I kind of tried to make it look not perfectly white, just kind of distressed. Now here's a piece of paper from that backdrops set, which I just love. And I'm going to use some collage medium to attach the paper to the clipboard. Now this thing is rubber. No idea where I got this. I'm sure it's from way back when I used to art journal, but I'll tell you what, it's really easy to clean. And so I use it for glue like this. So I'm just going to attach the paper, make sure it's on there nice and snug. And then I'm taking my craft pick and just punching through those holes, because remember, I need to reattach that clip with the screws. So that was just the best way I could figure out how to get those holes back after covering them with paper. And now I'm covering the whole thing again with the collage medium. So again, this brush is really easy. There is a brush that Tim Holtz makes that he made for things like collage medium. So there are those brushes out there, and I bet you I have some somewhere. I just don't know where. Now I'm taking some distress ink in green color, not sure why, and dabbing it on here, and you can kind of see the green. I couldn't tell you what my thoughts were at this point, but I knew I didn't want just straight up white. This clip is going to go through a lot, and here we're going to start. This is grit paste snowfall. So I had this idea that, it's a snowman. I wanted this clip to kind of look like snow covered. I don't know. So I just grabbed a, inexpensive little palette knife and just adding this paste in kind of clumps. I'm not trying to add it evenly. You can see I'm just adding it just in certain places and trying to make it look clumpy. And now I'm going to bring in some rock candy glitter to make it glittery, because snow, I don't know. Like I said, this clip is going to go through a lot. Now here I have sanded the edges of this board. It's all dry. I just used regular sandpaper, and then I splattered it with some white distress paint. Now here are the large collage strips, and I just glued them onto a piece of white paper. So I took 2 of the collage strips, glued them right next to each other, and I'm going to create a frame. So I'm using this die from Spellbinders. And by the way, I'll have all the supplies listed below. And now that I cut the initial hole out, I'm using a larger die from that set and creating a frame. So here is my frame. I think it's pretty cool looking. I think you wouldn't really know how that was made. Like it seems like it's just all one piece of patterned paper. Now I did ink up the edges with some black distress ink just to make it stand out. And here is my snowman. I'm just kind of trying to get a lay of the land here. And I think it's really cute so far. Now my little clip looks a little out of place. It just is like too bright. It's not the right color tone. So now I have this plastic tub that I use to when I use sprays or shimmer powders or things like that. It just kind of contains the mess. And I am spraying various colors of Distress Spray Stain on here. And I'm going to continue spraying with various colors of Distress Spray Stain until I clue into the fact that, remember, Distress Spray Stain it's like Distress inks. It's kind of translucent. So no matter what I'm doing, that white paint is going to kind of keep showing through. It might get tinted a little bit. And here my paste is getting so wet that I just decided I'm just going to take the paste off. So again, this poor little clip is being tortured. But the reason I left all of this in is because really you can do anything to this clip and it will survive. Really, if it can survive me, it can survive anything. But there are a lot of cool things that you can do with these clips. Now, here I'm, like I said, I brought in all sorts of colors. This is cracked pistachio. I was kind of thinking that cracked pistachio would kind of add like that patina color to it. So again, it's too bright. So finally, I'm going to clue in a minute here. I thought I was going to clue in now, but apparently it's still going to take me a bit. Let's think about distress products. Distress inks and spray stains are kind of translucent. So what is not translucent? What is more opaque? Distress oxide, right? So I'm going to ultimately, after I continue to torture this poor thing, I'm going to grab some distress oxide spray. And it's going to be this one right here. This is the Black Soot Distress Oxide Spray. And see, one spray, and I was like, oh, yeah, right. That would have saved me so much time. And I will come in, I think, with some cracked pistachio oxide spray as well, just again to try to add kind of the look of patina, kind of. I just really wanted it to look aged. At first, I thought I wanted it to look snowy, and then I decided, you know what, let's just make it look aged. So there it is. All right, let's get back to this little frame that I made. I am adding score tape around the back, and then I have a piece of acetate that I have trimmed to that arch shape. So I'm going to attach the acetate to this score tape, and that will be the front of my shaker. So there we go. Now to the back, I'm going to add some foam tape. This is Simon Says Stamp foam tape, and it was just the perfect width for this frame. It just kind of, I lucked out. These are Distress Mica Flakes. These are my favorite shaker bits to use for when I want to create snow. And again, that green paper off to the right with the snowflakes, that's from the Backdrops pack from this year. So I'm just going to attach that to the back of the shaker and make sure it's on there nice and snug. And there's the shaker. Pretty cute. All right, so let's see what we have. We have the clipboard, the shaker, and the snowman. And really, if I had stopped here, this would have been cute. But I did not stop there. I just kept going. Now here's some berry stems from Simon. And you'll see I actually broke off some of these stems from the pine branch and colored them black and used them for his hands or his arms. And here's a piece from, I think, the Emporium layers that I'm going to use as kind of the base of this shaker to kind of make it look like a snow globe. So that was why I picked this shape die, because I thought it looked like a snow globe. And again, you'll see I kind of wait until I have things laid out and other things glued down before I actually assemble the snowman. So here we go, the glue gun. I will say that I had control of this project before I pulled out the hot glue gun. And here's some collage medium that I'm just slathering onto the back of this shaker. But I feel like as soon as I pulled out the hot glue gun, things got a little out of control. I'm just gonna admit it. Now, I'm using foam tape on the bottom of this little snowman piece and then some collage medium to help glue it to the shaker. So the bottom layer is going to go first. Now I'm using the Big Mama foam tape roll for my second layer because I don't need it to be as thick. So this foam tape is a little bit thinner and I love it. And then I can add the snowman head. And here's the little scarf, which I tried to match the colors of this ephemera. And finally, the little hat, which again, you can see some little strip of foam tape on the back of that hat. And look at that. It's like it was meant to be. Okay, I told you the hot glue gun. So here's some baubles and my hot glue gun. I don't pull out my hot glue gun unless I have to. But yeah, I feel like it was giving me permission to start gluing anything and everything. All right, now these are the little screw heads for the clip. And you can color them with alcohol ink. So I think this color is called patina. And I just took a little piece of white felt. And you know I mean business when I have the blue medical gloves on. Because you know, if you ever watch my videos, you know that I don't normally use gloves. Although I do use gloves for alcohol inks. But normally I don't mind making a mess. And I don't mind my hands getting messy. But apparently I minded. All right, so now it's time to put the clip back on. And I can't even believe it still functions after all the torture it's been through. I am making fun of myself here, but truth be told, I was having fun making this project. Yes, there was a point where I didn't know when to say when, but I just was having fun using all of this stuff finally. I hoard all of my Tim Holtz stuff. I don't know why. I think, if you're a card maker or if you art journal or if you're a Tim Holtz fan, I bet that you also hoard stuff. I bet you also hoard Tim Holtz stuff. Admit it. There's so much stuff from Tim Holtz that it's just fun to have. It's fun to buy, and you don't want to use it because then it will be gone. Now, by the way, this is some white ribbon from my stash, and I'm just coloring it with Distress Spray Stain. Now, I did end up swapping this out for some mummy cloth because I didn't like the ribbon. Now, here you'll see the mummy cloth. Here it is. So I just colored that the same way that I did that ribbon. And obviously, I fast forwarded to where I had added a bunch of stuff. Now, okay, the texture paste. This is where things went a little crazy. I'm blaming the hot glue gun, but really let's blame the texture paste because here we go. Oh my word. If I had left the texture paste off, this would have been a completely different project. But again, I have the texture paste. I have all this other stuff, and I'm going to use it. And you know what? I had fun making this. I had fun experimenting because, again, I don't make things like this very often. And I don't dive into my Tim Holtz stash enough, and I need to. We all need to just play and do something that we don't normally do. Because, oh, and here you can see that I'm pulling off the baubles because I decided I had all this texture paste, and now I needed all the texture paste to be underneath the baubles. So again, blame the texture paste. But going back to why I'm doing this, I just don't do this enough. And I've been saying, like, every time I open this drawer of Tim Holtz stuff, I'm like, why am I not using this? And I've always wanted to do something like this, and I just don't take the time to do it. So, okay, here's more texture paste. By the time I am done, you're not going to be able to tell that this was this really cool plaid paper, but that's okay. We all know it was plaid paper. I don't know. You know, you always see these really cool Tim Holtz makes by these incredible makers, and you always wonder how they do it. Watching my video, you're not going to know how they do it because, oh, and even the snowman wasn't safe from the texture paste. Like, nothing was safe. The poor little snow, even wait for it, because you're going to see me start slathering it on his face too. Anyway, I am not a typical Tim Holtz maker. So I'm still fascinated as to how people actually create makes, because what I'm doing here is it's playing and it's having fun, and again, that's all that matters. So would this have looked better had I stopped like 3 hours ago? Maybe, but it was just playtime, and it's something that I don't take enough time to do. And here I'm now adding white stuff back to my clip to make it look like maybe there's a little bit of snow on it. And here we go. Oh my gosh, she's finally done. So there's a lot going on here. I'm going to zoom in to show you some of the detail. Crazy, right? From where this started. Now here are those pine cones, and these leaves and berries are from, I think it's a retired Tim Holtz die set. I'll list it below, but again, I think it's retired. And you can see the baubles and the texture paste. Now up top, you'll see that number 25 in the green. That's from the sticker book. And there's that fun little broom. And again, up close, you can kind of see where I slathered some texture paste on his face. And, you know, he's just dirty. He just looks dirty because he's been outside too long. And speaking of too long, this video is perhaps my longest video ever. So let's cut it here and let's go back to what this video was all about. And that is the Tim Holtz limited edition DieCember Die Set. And how do you get this limited edition die set? You go to sign. First of all, you click on the link below and you will get to my blog, which will explain how you get this adorable die set. And that is it for me today. I really appreciate you being here with me, especially for this crazy ride. This is definitely different than my typical videos. But I, again, always appreciate having you here. Thank you so much. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.